We will go next to the San Francisco Giants, the fourth favorite, the second least favorite team to win the National League West. Free agent additions. You have Justin Verlander, who is arguably the biggest, agrees to a 1-year contract. 42 years old, man. He is still kicking. Maybe not the biggest, because I forgot about Willie Adames signing a 7-year contract coming over from the Brewers, a huge addition at that shortstop spot. And then you have a bunch of other minor league contracts added in there at the free agent spot. And then trades, Braxton Roxby acquired from us, the Reds, for Taylor Rogers. You have a couple guys that signed 1-year contracts to avoid arbitration. Lamonte Wade Jr. had an awesome year last year. He was a platoon guy for the better part. Tyler Rogers signs a 1-year contract. Duvall signs a 1-year contract. Yastrzemski, lots of 1-year contracts there. And then the losses, you lose Kurt Casale, you lose Mark Kahana, you lose Taylor Rogers in a trade with the Reds, Blake Sobel, William Kempner, and that kind of rounds out the acquisitions. Now, we'll take a look at their performance last year. A little underwhelming, 80 and 82. They finished fourth in the division offensively. Didn't put up great numbers. Didn't really put up great numbers anywhere. Their starting pitchers had a great K9, but that's really about it. Everything else was kind of middling or in that 20s range. And then we're looking at our starting lineup. Lamonte Wade Jr. projected to bat leadoff. He will platoon, though. Willie Adames, Young-Ho Lee, Matt Chapman, Heliot Ramos, Mike Yastrzemski, Tyler Fitzgerald, Gerard Encarnacion, and Patrick Bailey rounding out that lineup. Starting rotation, Logan Webb, Justin Verlander, Robbie Ray, Jordan Hicks, Kyle Harrison. And then you have the bullpen, Keaton Wynn, Randy Rodriguez, Lou Trevino, Sean, that's definitely a Swedish name, Sean Hjell, Hjelle, Hjell, Eric Miller, Camilo Duvall, Tyler Rogers, and Ryan Walker being the closer. Here's what I'll say about this Giants team. The lineup isn't bad. Lamonte Wade had a great year. He's going to platoon, so hopefully he can continue that. Matt Chapman's the power bat. Willie Adames batting second is a huge step up from what they had last year. He was a guy that that's 30 home runs. That's 30 home runs added to your lineup right there. And Patrick Bailey had quite a breakout year as well, given the position that he plays. Seth, what do you think about this lineup?
And it's a shame to me. I think Jung-Hoo Lee is someone that, everyone counts him out because he missed a majority of last year. He got hurt right at the beginning of the year. He came from the KBO and he had great numbers over there. I think he was a primary leadoff guy. I think he ended up being the leadoff guy while he was there for the Giants. And I think he's still a great contact bat. I would compare him to a Stephen Kwan of the Guardians. I think he's that kind of caliber of player. I don't know if he'll have the on-base percentage and the average of Stephen Kwan that he did last year. But I think in the small sample size, I think he ended up slumping near the end of his health there last year. I think if we get him for a full season, I think you could be looking at a potential 295 on-base guy, 295 average, higher on base. I think he's a good bat-to-ball guy. And nearing the end of that lineup, is he hitting 6th or 7th?
Lee?
Yeah.
Jung-Hoo Lee?
Yeah.
3rd.
He's hitting 3rd. So I guess the Dodgers are kind of
he's 3rd. So it's.
I think the Dodgers are kind of counting on him to be an RBI bat. I think he's an on base guy more primarily. I don't know if he's got the pop of Adames, but in modern baseball, you're wanting to put your better hitters at the top of that lineup to give them more at bats. Like you see Ohtani hitting first for the Dodgers, putting Adames at the top of that lineup to get him more at bats is kind of what the thought is. Aaron Judge hitting at the top of the lineup, hitting 2. Jung-Hoo Lee, I think they have some stock in, but I don't know what kind of stock they're holding in him yet. Obviously, it's pretty high, hitting him 3rd. I think it's one of those things where he's going to have to figure out where he best meshes in that lineup. I think we could see him, for you fantasy baseball guys out there, I think we could see him moving up to the leadoff spot by the end of the year, getting those runs. I think the Dodgers, I think the Giants have some things to figure out with their lineup, but I think the acquisition of Adames and having Matt Chapman in that lineup, to me, they don't have a true power bat. And I know Matt Chapman put up RBI numbers, but I don't think he's one of those guys that you can look at and you're like, oh, this is comparable to Pete Alonso, even Christian Walker, Josh Naylor, Aaron Judge, Juan Soto. All those guys that are hitting in power positions, I would say he's one of the weaker in that aspect, but he's also he had a great last year, so I can't necessarily count him out. So I think the Dodgers, keep saying it. I think the Giants just have some things to figure out with that lineup, but I think they're still pretty good.
Maybe their hope is that Adames had 32 home runs last year, so maybe they're hoping that he can kind of step into that role. But even then, it's still it feels like a little left to be desired on the power front in this lineup. I definitely get what you're saying. In terms of the rotation, Logan Webb is projected to be quite a workhorse. Over 200 innings he's projected to have, and he had 204 last year. And then you have Justin Verlander as a 2. I don't love that. I don't love having Justin Verlander as your second pitcher just because he is so old, 42 years old. But then you have Robbie Ray, who I think is due for a bounce back. He struggled in his limited innings last year, but it's usually the second year after that surgery that we start to see like velo come back, a little bit of the command come back. So I think he'll have a bounce back year. Not bought in on the Jordan Hicks experiment quite yet. He had some good outings last year, but nothing special. Overall average rotation, do you feel any differently? It seems pretty average.
I wouldn't necessarily say average. I think they're above average. I think whenever you have Verlander in a rotation, I think that gives you some clout.
Clout, okay, clout, sure. It gives it some clout, but
yeah, I wouldn't say overall ability. I mean, he's not competing with the guys that are young. I mean, he's not competing. He's not competing with Paul Skeens, even a lower level name like Sonny Gray with the Cardinals. I don't think he's necessary. I would say he's on the level of Sonny Gray, maybe a little lower.
Okay.
I think he would slot in right around Eduardo Rodriguez for the Diamondbacks in that 4 spot there. That's what I would say. I would say he's around in that level, but because he's in the 2 hole with the Giants, I mean, yes, I would say it's kind of a tough look. So following that, I am kind of in on the Jordan Hicks experiment. I like Jordan Hicks. I think he's pretty good. And Logan Webb, I know he's not necessarily a strikeout guy or a Cy Young guy, but you're looking at a guy that gets over 200 innings every single year. He's healthy. You know you're going to basically get a full season out of him. He's worth that number 1 spot.
100%. He's a workhorse. He gets things like, and you're right, not really going to be, if he ever is in the competition for Cy Young, it's just because of his availability. The fact that the Giants can rely on him as much as they do. 172 strikeouts last year. Not too bad. San Francisco Giants, 80.5 wins. I will start. I'm going over.
You said 80.5?
80.5. So
are there any
about the same as last year.
There? Any alternative lines out there?
Oh, I'm sure there is somewhere.
I'll take the under. I'll take the under on the Giants.
Okay. I guess like you have to.
Yeah, they seem like a 500 team to me. They do.
That's about right on then. That's about right on.